There are moments in life when the ordinary fabric of our days is suddenly interrupted by something so profound that it demands a deeper listening, a sharper awareness, and a heart that is willing to be still before mystery. To be called the chosen one is not merely to be singled out by fortune or circumstance, but to be set apart by a destiny that does not belong to the whims of chance. It is to be summoned into a story already written before time itself began, a story that is larger than your own breath yet intimately tied to it. And when such a call comes, it rarely arrives with trumpets or banners waving across the skies. More often, it comes quietly, clothed in ordinary words, yet carrying an eternal weight. This is why the message is given to you now, because tomorrow everything changes. Change is not merely the passing of hours or the turning of days, it is the unveiling of what was hidden, the lifting of a veil from before your eyes. Many live their entire lives under the heavy curtain of the unseen, unaware of what has been unfolding all around them, never pausing to recognize the signs that their lives are entwined with eternity. But the chosen one cannot remain blind. The chosen one is drawn into revelation, compelled to see, to know, and to respond. And here, in the heart of this message, stands the mention of your daughter. For she is not incidental to your story, nor merely a character who drifts across the stage of your life. She is the hinge upon which tomorrow swings. When God chooses, He rarely chooses in isolation. He binds destinies together, weaving strands of lives into a single thread of purpose. Your daughter is bound into yours not as a burden, but as a signpost, a living witness to the reality of what is to come. There are truths that cannot be revealed through words alone, but through lives entrusted to our care. In her, you will glimpse what has been concealed. Through her, you will see the first breaking of dawn upon tomorrow. This message is not meant to stir curiosity alone, but to awaken vigilance. It is not for entertainment, nor to indulge a passing fascination with grand ideas, but to prepare the heart for wait and wonder. What does it mean to know that tomorrow everything changes? It means that the tide of events will not wait for your readiness. It means that the eternal clock strikes its hour, whether you stand ready or not. Yet the call itself is mercy. To be told that everything changes tomorrow is to be given a lantern in the night, a chance to steady your steps before the path twists into shadows. So, chosen one, this is not merely about you, but about her, and through her, about everything entrusted to you. Tomorrow is already rising on the horizon, and when it breaks, nothing will remain as it was. To be chosen is not a matter of mere preference or coincidence, but of purpose that transcends human reasoning and personal ambition. To be chosen is to be summoned into a story larger than yourself, a story not of your own making, one that stretches back before your birth and reaches forward beyond the scope of your imagination. Many people live as though their existence is an isolated fragment, as though their daily steps begin and end within the confines of their own small circle. But when the weight of being chosen presses upon a soul, that illusion is broken. You begin to see that your life is not a detached island floating in the sea of time, but a shore joined to countless others, connected to a greater continent of meaning. To be chosen is to awaken to the realization that your story is being inscribed within an eternal narrative, that your part, however small it may appear, has been designed with precision and purpose. Such a summons unsettles the complacent heart, for it disrupts the comfortable rhythm of life that thrives on predictability and control. The chosen one does not walk within the luxury of obscurity, for obscurity is replaced by illumination. A light shines upon your path that does not shine upon others, not because you are greater, but because your role demands clarity. This clarity often feels like weight, for when you are chosen, the ordinary excuses that others may cling to are stripped away. The chosen cannot simply say, "I did not know," or "it was not my place." Instead, you find that the message of your life has already been whispered into your being, and the responsibility of carrying it rests firmly upon you. And yet, Being chosen does not begin with glory or recognition. It begins with surrender, with the laying down of your own claim to authorship over your existence. The story you are drawn into is not of your own invention, and to resist it is to wrestle against the one who authored it. This resistance, however, is part of the very process of awakening. For the chosen, there comes a moment when the battle between self and calling becomes undeniable, and in that moment, one must decide whether to yield to the larger story or cling to the fragile illusion of independence. To yield is costly, but to resist is to deny the very fabric of your being. When you are summoned into this larger story, you realize that even the smallest details of your life are not random. The places you have walked, the struggles you have endured, the wounds you have carried, and even the joys you have celebrated, all of these are woven together in ways you could never have orchestrated. What seemed fragmented and meaningless begins to take on a strange coherence, as though threads once scattered and tangled are suddenly being pulled into a single pattern. And it is here that the mystery of chosenness deepens. You recognize that you have been prepared, often in silence, often in suffering, for a role that only now begins to make sense. But being chosen is not about self-exaltation. It is not a pedestal upon which to stand and demand recognition. Instead, it is the humbling discovery that your life has been claimed by something beyond yourself. It strips away pride, for you realize that your strength is insufficient for the weight of the task. To be chosen is to be dependent, not self-sufficient. To walk in step with the one who chose you, for apart from him, the story cannot unfold as it was meant to. This dependence is not weakness, but alignment with the source of all strength, a recognition that the author of the story provides what is necessary for its fulfillment. There is also a loneliness in being chosen, a sense of standing apart even among those you love. The chosen one often feels misunderstood, for the depth of calling is not easily explained. Those around you may dismiss it as imagination or exaggeration, for they do not feel the same weight pressing upon their hearts. This loneliness is not punishment but refinement, for in it you learn that your security cannot rest in the approval of others. You are being drawn away from the shallow comforts of human validation into the deeper assurance that your calling is true, even if unseen by the eyes of those around you. The summons into a larger story also awakens a heightened sense of responsibility. Your actions are no longer trivial, for they ripple outward with consequences you may not fully perceive. Words spoken, choices made, steps taken. All of these take on a new significance when you realize they are woven into the unfolding of a grander design. The chosen one cannot live carelessly, for carelessness would betray the weight of what has been entrusted. Instead, there is a call to vigilance, to walk with discernment, to measure decisions not merely by convenience or desire, but by their alignment with purpose. And yet, the burden of being chosen is also accompanied by profound assurance. To be summoned into a story larger than yourself is to be freed from the narrow prison of self-interest. It is to discover that your life is not a random flicker in the vastness of the universe, but a deliberate stroke on the canvas of eternity. This assurance does not remove struggle or suffering, but it infuses them with meaning. Pain endured is not meaningless. It becomes part of the shaping process. Delays are not wasted. They are preparation for what is yet to come. Even silence is not absence, but the quiet work of unseen hands shaping the soul for its role. This summons transforms your perspective on time itself. Days no longer pass as empty hours, but as steps within a journey designed with intention. Tomorrow ceases to be merely the next day on the calendar and becomes, instead, a chapter turning in the story of destiny. When you live with the awareness of being chosen, you cannot treat the present as trivial, nor can you dismiss the future as uncertain chaos. Both are bound within a design larger than you. A design into which you have been drawn not by accident, but by calling. To be chosen is therefore both weight and gift, both challenge and assurance. It calls you to humility even as it lifts you into significance beyond imagination. It compels you to surrender, to vigilance, to faith, and to dependence. And though the path of the chosen one may often seem narrow, steep, and lonely, it is also the path of meaning, the path where every step resounds within the halls of eternity. It is here, in this summons into a story larger than yourself, that the true sense of life is discovered. Tomorrow marks the unveiling of hidden truths that will alter everything, not simply in the manner that ordinary changes unfold, but in a way that shifts the very ground upon which you stand. Change, as most conceive it, is gradual, predictable, and often manageable. It is the passing of seasons, the slow aging of the body, the quiet unfolding of daily events. But there are moments, rare and decisive, when change descends not as a whisper, but as a breaking storm, when what was concealed is suddenly revealed, and the fabric of reality is torn open to show what lies beneath. Such a moment does not ask whether you are prepared. It arrives with its own authority, carrying with it a transformation that cannot be resisted. Tomorrow is such a moment, a point in time where hidden truths break forth and demand recognition. The human heart craves stability, and in its search for comfort it often builds its peace upon illusions. We convince ourselves that what is unseen does not matter, that what is hidden will remain hidden, that the silence of the heavens means the absence of design. Yet this is only the posture of blindness, a refusal to acknowledge that beneath the surface of ordinary life a deeper current flows. Hidden truths do not remain concealed forever. They wait for the appointed hour when they must rise. Tomorrow is the hour of unveiling, when the curtain will be lifted, and the light will expose what was always there, but unseen. To say that everything changes tomorrow is not to suggest that tomorrow will alter the nature of truth itself. Truth does not bend to the passing of time, nor does it grow or diminish with the turning of days. What changes is not truth, but sight. Tomorrow will not invent reality, but it will strip away illusion. It will force you to see what has been present all along, realities veiled by distraction, fear, or denial. The change is therefore not the arrival of something new, but the revelation of what has always been. The unveiling is like the rising of the sun. The landscape is not created in the moment of dawn, but it is finally revealed in its fullness. The weight of such unveiling cannot be overstated, for hidden truths are not harmless secrets. They are foundations upon which destinies rest, and when revealed, they carry the power to rearrange the entire order of a life. What you believed about yourself, what you assumed about others, what you took for granted about the world, all of it is subject to collapse when truth stands revealed. The chosen one, unlike the rest, is not shielded from this collision, but is placed at its very center. Tomorrow, when the unveiling occurs, it will not brush past you like a passing breeze. It will seize you, confront you, and call you to respond. This unveiling carries both gift and disruption. On the one hand, it liberates, for to live in ignorance is to live in chains, bound by shadows and misperceptions. When truth is revealed, you are freed from the lies that held you captive, and your steps may fall upon firmer ground. On the other hand, revelation wounds, for it pierces the comfortable illusions you had woven around yourself. The truths unveiled tomorrow will not soothe, at least not at first. They will cut deep, exposing frailty, vanity, and the fragility of your own control. Yet the wound is not intended for destruction but for healing. It is the surgeon's blade, not the executioner's sword, a cut made to remove what poisons the body and to restore life. Consider how often in history the unveiling of hidden realities has transformed the course of entire peoples. A single moment of revelation, a law discovered, a promise remembered, a lie exposed, has undone empires and birthed nations. The hidden truths of tomorrow carry no less power, for though they may appear to concern only you and those closest to you, the ripple of revelation extends far beyond. The unseen order of reality is not fragmented but interwoven, and when the veil is lifted for one, the light inevitably spills into the lives of many. To be told that everything changes tomorrow is to be told that the very pattern of existence around you will shift, that nothing will remain untouched by the unveiling. Yet such revelation is not arbitrary. Hidden truths are not flung open at random. They are revealed at the appointed time, when the soul is at the threshold of readiness. Readiness does not mean comfort, nor does it mean desire. Often the soul resists revelation, clinging to the safety of shadows. But readiness means necessity. It means the time has come when the truth must be known, regardless of whether you wish it to be. Tomorrow arrives not because you asked for it, but because the story requires it. The author of the unseen has determined that this is the hour for unveiling, and no resistance will delay it. The unveiling also demands response. To see what is hidden and then turn away is to embrace blindness willingly, a blindness far more tragic than ignorance. Once truth is revealed, neutrality is impossible. You cannot both see and pretend not to see. Tomorrow, when hidden truths are laid bare, you will be compelled to choose. The choice may be between surrender and resistance, between trust and fear, between obedience and defiance. Whatever form it takes, the unveiling demands that you no longer live as you did before. The weight of tomorrow lies not only in what is revealed, but in how you respond to what you see. There is also within this unveiling an element of mercy. To be forewarned that everything changes tomorrow is to be given a measure of preparation, however brief. It is a lantern placed in your hand before the darkness of night, not to dispel the mystery entirely, but to give you enough light to steady your steps. Many are swept into change without notice, caught unready when the veil is lifted, stumbling blindly through the shock of revelation. But you have been told that tomorrow holds such unveiling, and with that knowledge comes the opportunity to watch, to wait, and to prepare your heart. Though the change will still strike with power, you will not meet it as one unaware. The hidden truths that tomorrow unveils are not merely intellectual discoveries, not pieces of information to be tucked away in memory. They are living realities, truths that reshape identity, purpose, and destiny. To encounter them is to encounter yourself anew, to see not only what lies in the world around you, but also what lies within your own soul. The unveiling is a mirror as much as it is a window, reflecting both the reality of the world and the depths of your own being. Tomorrow will not simply show you what is beyond, it will show you who you are within that greater story. Thus tomorrow is not a day like any other. It is an appointed threshold, a moment when veils are lifted, when light breaks in, when everything once hidden demands to be seen. It is a summons to wakefulness, to step out of the shadows of illusion and into the sharp clarity of reality. It is the beginning of a transformation that does not end with sight, but continues with response, with choice, with surrender to the truth that has revealed itself. And while such unveiling unsettles and disrupts, it is also the very means by which a soul is freed to walk the path of destiny set before it. Your daughter is central, not incidental, to this unfolding destiny, and in understanding her place, you begin to recognize the depth of what has been entrusted to you. Too often, people imagine their lives as solitary journeys, each soul navigating its course with little connection to the paths of others. But this is not how the greater story works. The divine design rarely singles out a person in isolation. It interweaves lives, binding them together, so that the calling of one is inseparable from the destiny of another. In this weaving, children are not simply extensions of their parents, nor are they passive figures who exist only to reflect their upbringing. They are signs, living revelations, through whom mysteries are unveiled and through whom futures are shaped. To regard your daughter as incidental would be to misunderstand the sacredness of her presence. She is not merely an accessory to your journey, nor a side character in your story. She is central because through her, truths hidden from you directly may be revealed in ways you could not anticipate. She is central because her life carries echoes of your own calling, and her steps are entwined with yours in such a way that her becoming is part of your becoming. In the language of destiny, nothing is wasted, and no relationship is arbitrary. The bond between you and your daughter is not simply biological, but deeply spiritual, a channel through which divine intention flows. This centrality of her place also means that you cannot treat her as ordinary. The ordinary view of children is that they grow, they learn, and they eventually walk their own paths, disconnected from the calling of their parents. But the chosen one cannot view it so lightly. In her, you are given not only the responsibility of care, but also the revelation of what lies ahead. The very events that will unfold tomorrow are tied to her presence, for she is the hinge upon which change swings. When everything alters, it will alter through her, and you must be ready to see in her what you may have overlooked before. The role of a child as a sign is not new in the history of divine workings. Time and again, the unfolding of great movements has been bound to the presence of a child. Sometimes in the vulnerability of their birth, sometimes in the innocence of their witness, sometimes in the courage they carry into the future. Children often stand as vessels through which God writes his intentions, vessels whose purity allows truths to be seen without the corruption of self-interest. To recognize your daughter as central is to acknowledge that she has been entrusted with such significance, not by her choice nor yours, but by design. There is a sobering weight in this realization, for it means your responsibility extends beyond provision and protection. You are entrusted with discernment, the ability to recognize in her the signs of destiny that others may miss. What she says, how she acts, the path her heart inclines toward. These may not be mere accidents of personality, but indications of a divine narrative unfolding. You must listen to her not as one listens to a child's chatter, but as one listens for echoes of prophecy, for sometimes the simplest words spoken in innocence carry the deepest truths. Her centrality also means that your destiny and hers cannot be separated. Where you go, she will be touched. What you choose, she will inherit. The unfolding of tomorrow is not about you alone, for she stands at the heart of it, and her future is intertwined with the decisions you make. This is both a responsibility and a gift, for it means that your journey is not a solitary burden, but one shared, one that stretches beyond your own lifespan into hers. She is not incidental, because her destiny magnifies your own, extending the reach of your calling into another generation. To say she is central also means that she may carry what you cannot. Often the chosen one is entrusted with a weight too heavy for one set of shoulders alone, and in mercy, that weight is distributed. Your daughter may hold aspects of the calling that you are not equipped to bear. She may see what you cannot see. She may speak what you cannot articulate. She may move into places where your steps cannot tread. In this way, she becomes not merely your child, but your companion in destiny, one who extends your reach and completes what you begin. Yet this truth must be approached with humility, for to see her as central is not to idolize her, nor to burden her with expectations she cannot bear. It is to recognize her role with reverence, to nurture her with patience, and to guide her with wisdom. She is central not because she is flawless, but because she has been appointed. And this appointment comes with its own trials, for those who stand at the center of destiny rarely walk an easy path. She too will encounter resistance, misunderstanding, and struggle. But these are not signs of failure. They are marks of her place within the greater design. It is also through her that you will be tested. The way you respond to her significance will reveal the depth of your obedience. To dismiss her as incidental would be to resist the very truth that is being revealed. To grasp her role with pride, as though it elevates you above others, would be to corrupt the gift. The proper response is reverence, the quiet acknowledgement that you have been entrusted with a treasure whose value exceeds comprehension. The unfolding of tomorrow demands not only that you accept your role, but that you recognize hers, for without her, the pattern cannot be complete. When everything changes tomorrow, it is through her that the first signs of change will appear. She may speak, she may act, or she may simply be present in a way that reveals what is coming. The unveiling is not abstract, it is bound to her existence, and through her, it will touch you. She is not a bystander, but a catalyst, not an observer, but a participant. The truth that tomorrow brings is inseparable from her place in your life. Her presence also illuminates the nature of chosenness itself. To be chosen is never about isolation, but about relationship. Your daughter's centrality proves that destiny is communal, that the call of one is woven into the life of another, and that no story of purpose is written in solitude. Through her, you see that being chosen is not merely about what you will do, but about what you will nurture, protect, and pass on. The very fact that she is central declares that your destiny is larger than your lifetime, reaching into hers and beyond. Thus, her life becomes a mirror, in which you glimpse your own calling more clearly. What she reveals about herself will, in time, reveal more about you. What unfolds in her will illuminate what unfolds in you. She is central not as an accessory, but as a revelation, not as an afterthought, but as a cornerstone. The destiny that calls you forward does not move without her, for she is bound to the very heart of what tomorrow will bring. Divine purpose weaves lives together as signs and witnesses, forming a tapestry in which no thread exists in isolation. The design of destiny is not a solitary pattern drawn around the life of one individual, but a vast interlacing of countless strands, each life crossing and binding with another. To understand this is to see beyond the illusion of separateness, to recognize that what happens in your story does not remain confined to you, but flows outward into the stories of others. Every encounter, every bond, every relationship carries meaning beyond what the eye can perceive, and when divine purpose moves, it rarely does so through a single life standing alone. Instead, it binds lives into a pattern where each is a sign to the other and a witness to the unfolding of truth. When one thinks of destiny, it is tempting to imagine it as an individual path, a personal journey traced out by unseen hands. But this view is too narrow. The reality is that destiny is communal, and divine purpose is a master weaver who ties one life to another with cords of meaning. The chosen one does not walk alone, for those around them are also caught up in the divine design, not as mere background figures, but as essential participants. In the weaving of purpose, even the smallest interactions may carry weight, for the simplest word spoken or act performed can alter the direction of another life, setting in motion ripples that reach far beyond the moment itself. To be bound in this way is to become both a sign and a witness. A sign is not valuable in itself, but in what it points toward. It directs the eyes of others to something greater. Your life, in its unfolding, may be a sign to someone else, revealing to them truths they could not discover on their own. At the same time, others become signs to you, their actions, their struggles, their perseverance serving as markers along your journey, reminding you of realities you might otherwise forget. A witness, on the other hand, is one who testifies to what has been revealed, one who stands as proof that truth is not an abstraction, but a living reality. In the weaving of divine purpose, we are all made witnesses to each other. For the story that unfolds in one life cannot be fully known unless it is seen and affirmed by another. This interweaving also reveals the sacredness of relationships. Connections are not random accidents, but deliberate knots tied by divine hands. Friends, family, mentors, even strangers encountered briefly. All of these are threads interwoven with your own, and through them, purpose is both hidden and revealed. Some will strengthen you, others will test you, still others will act as mirrors, reflecting truths about yourself that you would not face otherwise. To dismiss these connections as incidental is to ignore the very fabric of destiny, for it is often through others that the deepest revelations come. Think of how often great movements in history have depended on the intertwining of lives. A single figure may stand at the forefront, but behind them are countless others whose influence shaped, sustained, or prepared the way. A mother's quiet faith, a friend's timely word, a stranger's unexpected kindness. These threads, unseen by most, are essential to the unfolding of purpose. In the same way, your story is not solitary but interwoven, and those tied to you are not accidental companions but chosen participants in the design. Their presence is both a sign of what is to come and a witness to what has already been revealed. The idea of being woven into such a tapestry also brings a certain humility. It reminds you that you are not the sole bearer of destiny, not the isolated hero of a private tale. You are part of something vast, and your significance lies not in being the center, but in being a faithful thread within the greater whole. At the same time, it grants dignity, for even the smallest thread matters. Remove one, and the pattern weakens. Dismiss one, and the design is left incomplete. Every life, no matter how hidden or ordinary it appears, carries a weight within the weave. This interwoven nature of destiny also explains why suffering, loss, and trial are not meaningless. When one strand of the tapestry frays, it affects the whole. When one life suffers, others are drawn into that pain, not to be crushed by it but to strengthen, support, and bear witness. In this way, suffering becomes a means of deepening the bonds between lives, binding them tighter, weaving them closer, until the tapestry grows stronger than before. The witness of endurance, the sign of faith through trial, becomes part of the gift one life offers to another. The weaving of divine purpose is not always visible. Often, it feels as though lives cross by chance. Relationships form without reason, and paths intersect only to diverge again. But unseen in these moments is the hand of the weaver, tying threads together in ways too intricate for human eyes to follow. It is only with the passing of time that the design becomes clearer, when looking back reveals that what once seemed random was, in fact, deliberate. The chosen one, however, is often granted glimpses of this truth in advance, recognizing sooner than others that their connections are sacred, their relationships weighty, their bonds intentional. To be part of this divine weaving is also to accept the role of being observed. Your life is not lived in secret, for others are watching, whether they realize it or not, and what they see in you may become the sign they need to follow their own path. This is not a call to performance, but to authenticity, for the witness of a life is not in flawless display, but in faithful endurance, in honest struggle, in unwavering trust. Likewise, you must learn to watch others with eyes of reverence, recognizing that they too are signs and witnesses, bearing truths that may guide your steps. The tapestry itself is not static but living, ever growing, ever expanding, as new threads are added and new patterns emerge. What begins in one generation continues into another, as lives stretch across time, weaving past, present, and future together. This means that what you do now does not remain confined to your own days. It becomes part of the inheritance of those who come after you. The witnesses of today become the signs of tomorrow, and through this unbroken chain, divine purpose continues to unfold. Thus, when you consider your place within destiny, you must not see yourself as solitary. You are woven, bound, interlaced with others, and through this binding, the meaning of your life is magnified. You are both a sign pointing beyond yourself and a witness to what has been revealed in others. This is the beauty and the weight of divine purpose, that no life is wasted, no bond is meaningless, no story is detached. Each is part of a greater whole. Each contributes to the unfolding design. Each carries significance in the tapestry that is being woven from eternity into time. The warning of change is both mercy and preparation for what is to come. For without such a warning, the soul would stumble blindly into the hour of unveiling, unready for the weight it must carry. Change itself is inevitable, for nothing in life remains still, yet not every change arrives with such authority or such consequence. Ordinary change flows like the passing of seasons, subtle and gradual, giving time for adjustment. But when the appointed change arrives, it does so suddenly, like a flood breaking its banks, and without preparation it would overwhelm. To be told beforehand that everything will shift is a gift of mercy, for it allows the heart to steady itself, to watch, to guard against complacency, and to awaken from slumber before the moment strikes. Mercy is not always sweetness. It is sometimes sharp, unsettling, and urgent. The warning of change is such mercy. It disturbs the comfort of the present so that the soul does not fall unready into the demands of tomorrow. To hear that all will alter is not easy news, for it unsettles the imagination, filling it with questions and anxieties. Yet within this disturbance lies grace, because the heart that is troubled becomes the heart that seeks. The mind that is restless becomes the mind that prepares, and the spirit that feels the weight of tomorrow begins to lean not on its own strength, but on the one who appoints the times. The warning is therefore an invitation to leave behind the illusions of stability and to stand alert, ready for what will break forth. Preparation is not merely about external arrangements, but about the inward posture of the soul. When change comes, possessions may fail, plans may crumble, and familiar supports may vanish, but the heart that is anchored and awake can endure. The purpose of warning is to shift the focus from what is fragile to what is eternal, from the things that can be shaken to the foundation that cannot. Preparation does not mean mastering the details of what tomorrow will bring, for such details are hidden. It means cultivating readiness to walk into the unknown with trust, to face unveiling with courage, and to allow truth to reshape life without resistance. The very fact that the warning is given declares that you are not abandoned to chaos. If change were meant to destroy you utterly, no word would precede it. It would come without announcement, crushing all in its path. But the warning shows that even in upheaval there is design, even in disruption there is order. Mercy speaks before judgment, light shines before the storm, and the lantern is placed in the hand before the night deepens. The chosen one is not left in ignorance, but is told to awaken, to watch, and to stand ready. This gift of forewarning also demands a response. To receive it and ignore it is to mock mercy, to treat lightly what has been given with weight. Warnings are not spoken for curiosity, but for transformation. They are not riddles to entertain the mind, but calls to action, urging you to turn your gaze from what is passing and to set your heart upon what endures. Many hear warnings yet remain unchanged, as though words of urgency were only distant echoes. But for the chosen one, the warning cannot be dismissed. It presses upon the soul, urging vigilance, calling forth preparation that goes deeper than outward adjustments. The nature of preparation is both practical and spiritual. Practically, it may require loosening your grip on certain attachments, readying yourself to let go of comforts that tomorrow may strip away. Spiritually, it demands humility, for the warning itself is a reminder that you do not control the times or seasons. It calls for repentance, the turning away from distractions and illusions that dull the soul. It calls for watchfulness, a sharpened awareness of the signs that surround you. It calls for faith, the confidence that the hand that warns is the same hand that sustains. Such preparation is not frantic activity, but steady alignment, the setting of the heart in the right direction, so that when the winds of change blow, you are not carried adrift. The mercy of warning is also meant to strip away fear. Fear thrives in uncertainty, in the suddenness of what cannot be anticipated. But when the word comes that tomorrow everything changes, fear is robbed of its surprise. You may still tremble at the magnitude of what is coming, but you are not caught unaware. Even the trembling becomes part of the preparation, for it forces you to seek strength beyond yourself. Fear that leads to vigilance is not a weakness but a gift, for it keeps you from complacency and drives you to readiness. Consider how often in sacred history warnings have preceded great shifts. Before flood, a word was spoken. Before exile, prophets cried out. Before deliverance, messengers announced what was to come. In every case, the warning was both mercy and preparation, granting those who heard it the chance to align themselves with what was about to unfold. Some heeded and were spared, others ignored and were swept away. But in every case, the presence of the warning revealed the heart of God, who delights not in sudden destruction, but in giving space for readiness. To be warned, then, is to be counted worthy of participation, not a bystander swept into events, but an active witness called to respond. This makes the warning a test of faith. Will you treat it as an intrusion into your comfort or as a gift to your soul? Will you dismiss it as exaggeration or embrace it as truth? The chosen one is not free to remain indifferent. To hear that everything changes tomorrow is to be compelled to look inward and outward, to examine the state of your heart, and to prepare yourself for unveiling. The mercy of warning is wasted on the indifferent, but it becomes life to those who heed it. Preparation is never wasted effort, even if the form of change surprises you. For the heart that has cultivated vigilance and humility can face any unfolding, whether it comes as storm or as dawn. The warning is not about controlling tomorrow, but about shaping today, teaching you to live with sobriety, clarity, and readiness. It awakens in you the recognition that time is not endless, that moments are appointed, and that your life is moving toward a point of unveiling that will not be delayed. Thus, the warning of change is both the kindness of being told in advance and the discipline of being called to readiness. It is the mercy that disturbs complacency and the preparation that steadies the heart. It unsettles in order to awaken, wounds in order to heal, and speaks not to frighten but to prepare. To receive such a word is to be drawn into the very heart of divine intention. For the hand that warns is the hand that weaves, and the voice that announces change is the same voice that sustains through it.